Hi, guys. Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. I'm your host, April DeMille, a psychic medium and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and raw healing. Each week, we'll dive into soul centered topics like psychic mediumship, the supernatural, metaphysical wisdom, emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self discovery. Through inspiring interviews and personal insights, this podcast is here to spread awareness, spark connection, and support your healing journey. If you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power, you're in the right place. Let's own your essence together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I am your host, April DeMille, and today we are going to be speaking with, her name is Anik. I'm going to let her tell you her last name because I am positive I will ruin it. But Anik is an empowerment coach and speaker and the CEO of Ascension Academy. Yay. Okay. All right. So I did tell them that your name is Anik, but if you want to go ahead and give them your full name so I don't mess it all up.
Of course, my name is Anik Malenfant. I'm here on the Atlantic coast of Canada. So we're just on the ocean. And for my American friends, that's 5 hours north of Boston. So that's where we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Anik, can you tell the audience a little bit about what you do and how that how you maybe how you got there?
Mm, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. Even just the name of your podcast resonated with me so deeply because a
Oh,
lot of what I do is all about owning your essence. So, my focus is the inner work that creates the outer success. And for me, that does not happen unless you have the courage and clarity to connect to your unique essence. That is really such a beautiful energy, all of the gifts that comes with it. So my core focus and the space that I love to hold is working with successful empowered females so they can live the life of their dreams. So
yeah.
that's really the core of what I do. I do that through coaching and programs and certifications.
Okay. And then, so you also talk about living without compromise. What does that mean to you?
Yes. Well, I feel like so many, when you're not living and owning your essence, you're compromising yourself. You're compromising
Yeah.
your core values, you're compromising your authenticity. You are showing up with a mask based on your perception or assumptions of what other people want from you. And then you're showing up trying to be who they want you to be. And chances are that is a recipe for disaster because you don't really actually know what other people want or need from you. You're just guessing. And so for me, that's what I mean by compromise, because when you're not showing up authentically in your unique frequency, in your zone of genius, you're compromising the possibilities that are available to you and what you can create for yourself in this life.
Yeah, for sure. And like my mind goes to this place where I'm like, and is it even my business what other people want for me? I don't give a fuck. Right? Like that's not my business to figure out what they want for themselves or myself. And
Mhm.
that's kind of like one of those things that helps me stay aligned and focused on myself.
Yeah. And I think too, it's important for us to recognize is, are we actually communicating our needs and asking them how we can show up for them in a more loving and supportive way? Or are we making assumptions on what they need, what their
Right.
characters are? And what I've noticed in this type of work is that's like 90% of the problem is, well, I thought you wanted this from me. And they're like, I thought you wanted this. And next you know, they're having two different fights with their own perceptions of what the other person wanted from them in the first place. And it's like a fight for no reason because they're like, I'm fine with who you are.
Yeah. Well, and it's because we create these stories,
Hmm.
and a lot of that could just be resolved with good old-fashioned communication. I
Absolutely. One of the
know.
tricks that my husband and I have, whenever I feel triggered, I'll say to him, I was like, so this is the story that's going on in my head right now is you don't appreciate what I'm doing and I don't feel good enough. And I'll just like I'll share it in the third person. And it's been such a great way for us to have that conversation without it being about you did this to me and therefore I
Right.
feel this way. It's like
Without like
here's the
showing up
story
in
I'm
like,
making up in my head.
yeah, because then it's not like attacking and blaming. It's just like, here's what's triggering and what's producing these visions in my head. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so you also talk about like prosperity a lot. What are the ideas of prosperity beyond monetary success?
Yes. Well, and really that's where the focus of my work is.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients are already successful women, and so they have money.
Yeah.
And so really prosperity goes well beyond that. Prosperity in terms of loving healthy boundaries, loving supportive relationships, having resources, time freedom, having clarity and confidence in who you are and what's important to you. For me, prosperity is also at the core of it me getting to show up every day, doing what I love, and feeling like I'm making a difference in the world. And for me, that's my ulterior motive for everything is I want to leave my beautiful daughter a better world than how I came into it.
Yeah.
And so that's really at the core of everything that I do. So for me, that's prosperity. When I
Yeah.
get to see the change that's happening in the world, I feel so abundant.
Yeah. I would say that's pretty head on for me too, because I feel like I feel like rich and abundant when I'm getting to do what I love to do. And there doesn't have to be like these outcomes attached to that. And so that is what I definitely try to step more into. It helps. It's nice.
Mhm.
It's a it's undoing a lot of things, which is good
Yeah.
too. It's part
Yeah.
of the
And
process.
I feel like a lot of the successful women that I work with, they are huge givers and they care so deeply. And sometimes what happens is they are self-sacrificing in order to create or achieve the change or the impact that they want to make in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to really support everybody, women and men, to recognize is that you can create the impact and you can create the prosperity that you want without compromising yourself. Because when you're in your authentic frequency, you become a magnet for the change that you want to create.
Yeah. And let's talk about compromise for a second because there is such a difference between compromise and settling. And I want to know if you have any insights on that.
Well, here's how I would define it because I actually had a client share this with me with a few years ago, and it really made me think about, well, how do I define compromise? And so what my client said to me was, well, Anik, marriage requires compromise. And I sat with that and I
Sure.
tuned in and I asked, but does it? So would my ideal partner want me to compromise who I am, what's important to us, and what I need in order to create balance? Or does marriage require collaboration, cooperation, and understanding? And so for me,
Okay.
how I would define compromise is I'm compromising my structure. I'm compromising what I need. So I'm taking my best self and I'm compromising it.
So you're
So I
shrinking.
look at it, yeah, through that lens. And so I see it very differently than how other people might utilize that term. But for me, compromise is really about I'm going to self-sabotage myself in order to make this work. And I think through collaboration and communication, we can achieve a common
So
goal
you
in the
think compromise and settling are basically the same thing?
I think compromise and settling are completely different things.
Okay.
So for me, settling would be I give up on my desire.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm just going to settle for what it is. And I also think that
Okay.
settling and moving into acceptance is very different too, right? So
Yeah.
I would put settling and surrender in two different categories as well. So I
Okay.
can surrender to the what is while still holding on to my hope and my aspirations for something greater.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I love that. So what are some things that people can do right away to bring more alignment into their relationships?
Ooh,
following
I
these
love
tracks. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's about you focusing on you first.
Yeah.
You can't have a loving, balanced relationship when you're off. So, whenever I notice that there's an imbalance in my relationship, my first step is how am I contributing to that imbalance?
Okay.
So, is there a way, am I not being clear about my needs? Am I not being clear about my boundaries? Am I not um being authentic and fair to myself, or maybe I'm
Okay.
not being fair to the other person. So
Yeah.
for me, self-awareness and self-recognition and how I'm creating this imbalance always starts with me, because our external world reflects our internal one. And sometimes if I'm feeling disrespected or underappreciated in an external relationship, I'm doing that very thing to myself on some level.
Like by betraying yourself by being in that relationship.
Potentially,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
allowing that energy to even
Oh
like
yeah.
engage
And I've
with
done
you.
that lots. Like
Oh yeah.
I've been that girl that has gone out with all of the different assholes with different names and different haircuts, but it was the same guy.
Same guy. Yeah.
And that for me, that compromise, I was really settling. And
Hmm.
so as soon as I started recognizing what love and relationship authentically look like, that's when I met my soulmate. And it doesn't mean that we don't have disagreements and we don't have imbalances, but we how we show up to them is very, very different. We do it through respect, we do it through communication, we do it through recognition. And
Yeah,
he's the same way. He's like, how am I contributing to this imbalance? Because it takes two to tango. That's
for
the way that I
sure.
look at it.
But
Yeah.
I like that because it's a moment of stillness to just kind of like reflect,
Yeah.
take inventory and decide, okay, where is my part in this
Hmm.
chaos? So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, as someone who's been in an abusive relationship, I want to be super clear that if you find yourself in that situation, this is not about blame or shame. This is not like, well, I must have deserved this beating. That's not at all what I'm getting at. Is
Yeah.
like you said earlier, is why am I allowing this type of behavior in my
Hmm.
life? That's how
Hmm.
we contribute to it. So I want to make that very clear, because sometimes when we are a victim of domestic abuse, we can misunderstand what that means.
Yeah, for sure.
Taking ownership.
I've definitely been in those dynamics myself, and it's a little different. So
Yeah.
yeah. So so what really, I guess what kind of like shifted you into this work, if you don't mind, like
Well,
giving a little,
my own struggle, which I think for a lot
right,
of people, that's where it really starts. A little background on me is I was working on the stock market for 20 years, and I had like the Audi, the corner office, overlooking the river, all the
all the things.
401k, all the things.
Yeah.
And I felt so guilty because I would wake up every morning in with this dread and this sense of dissatisfaction.
Okay.
And what was happening was I was not living in my purpose. I was not being true to my essence. When I got into the stock market, I was really good at numbers. And so it was like, well, you're really good at numbers. You should do something in finance. Find something that you're good at that you can make money. And
Yeah.
that was the equation for happiness. But when I really reached that end point where it was actually a question that I asked. And I remember asking this out loud to myself in my house. There's got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
And what's really beautiful about the universe is as soon as you ask a question, it delivers.
Yeah.
And my whole life started to shift. And it began with me starting to ask that question to myself, to stop long enough to be like, all right, why am I not really happy?
Right.
Because for me, I thought I had to give everything up in order to get joy, or I had to create another level of success in order to reach that. So the where I am now is because of my own struggle, because of my own dissatisfaction, because of my own burnout. I was just burnt out doing something that I actually really love, that I was really successful at. And so that's why I kept feeling really bad, because whenever I try to share that with the people in my life, they'd be like, well,
You
you've got
should
so
be
much more than
grateful.
other, you should be happy.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? And I'm like, now I feel worse because
Yeah.
I feel there's something wrong with me and I'm not happy. Like, so it wasn't helpful. But then when I began to ask those deeper questions, that there's got to be more for me, that's when I lined up with the right people who
Yeah.
understood where I was coming from and the right level of support and the right coaches and the right guidance. And through my own self-discovery, I discovered gifts about how I showed up and how I can hold space for others and what my true gifts are. And that's really what led me into this work.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're in this work.
Oh, thank you.
I think that you're a great leader and inspiration for women. So I think that's beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, I had a question written down here about boundaries around living with purpose and without compromise, but we might have kind of, I think, just
Well, I
organically gone
will
over
speak to
that.
boundaries because I do
Okay.
have
Yeah.
something that I think our listeners need to hear, and I share this with anyone who will listen. And
Okay.
when we talk about boundaries, we don't think of them as interdimensional, energetic levels. And so
Okay.
I've done a lot of work with myself and with my clients around boundaries. And through my work, what I've discovered is your boundaries are is actually made up of two different levels. And the
Okay.
ones that create the foundations for the boundaries in your external life, because that's where we usually notice the problems, like they're not being nice, or I'm not getting this, or how come this isn't happening, right? We'll notice those external factors, but you have internal boundaries. And those are internal boundaries are where other people's opinions starts to skew your own thought process,
Right.
or where other people's emotions start to weigh heavy on you, or where other people's needs to start to really you start compromising your needs in order for other people's needs to be met. And when we look at our internal boundaries, mental, emotional, physical, and energetic, those are the foundations for our external boundaries. So that's why it's always for me about the inside job to create the outer success. So I would invite our listeners who are having issues with boundaries externally to look at going, where am I violating my own internal boundaries and what can I change today? And I promise them if they do that, that the external world will start to respond to them differently because the energy that they put out there is what people respond to.
Right. And I think that's true because I had a conversation even with my kids this weekend about, what's being entertained, where you're investing your energy and there's not reciprocation or it's not an equal exchange or it's, whatever. Sometimes people just are not a fit. They're in different worlds, different planets, whatever. So I think that that's really good insight.
Oh, thank you. Something that, because my daughter's 11, so she's at that age where, it's like that teenage where you want to fit in. And one of the things that came through for me, because fear of rejection was always one of my biggest fears. And
Yeah.
so as I was working through that with myself and through the healing and trainings that I did around that topic, something that came through that was very powerful for me that I'd love to share if we have space for it is that to think about the fear of rejection and the experience of rejection as misalignment.
Totally.
And because it's like what I need and what they can give is two different things. And
Yeah.
I'm better off finding somebody who's a better fit, and they're better off finding somebody who's a better fit.
Hmm.
And so when we start to think of rejection as simple misalignment, and one of the examples that I like to give my clients is if I've got an iPhone and you've got a Samsung, and you're at my place and my charger doesn't fit into your phone, you don't think, oh, my phone's less than. But when with humans, we assume we're better, they're worse, right? It's like,
Right.
no, they're just, it's not a fit. It's like a puzzle piece. And once I started to look at rejection through the lens of misalignment, it really helped me to release that pinch that happens when we experience that in our lives.
Yeah, because it's just your body's way of communicating to you that it's communication. That's really what it is. It's just
Mhm.
information like, hey, this is a huge disservice to both of you or whatever parties are involved. Um, it's not a personal thing. It's not like it's just a mismatched frequency.
Yeah, I am. Oh, a mismatch frequency. Yeah, I love that terminology. And but it's so easy for us to take it personally. Like it's like the
Yeah, and
default.
I still do. Like I still have my moments where I'm like, ow, that stings a little fucking too much. But like, but also I can appreciate the sting and use it as,
Feedback.
discernment. Yeah, like
Mhm.
it helps me make come to it helps me with awareness and making better discernment moving forward. So I can still appreciate those stings, even if it takes me a month to fucking mull over it. Because
We
sometimes I really
all
like to suffer.
Oof, yeah, I'm so familiar with that one. That's been my personal mission, probably the last like 5, 6 years. Something that I discovered is you can grow through suffering or you can grow through positive experiences.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I'm not still catching myself learning the long, hard way,
Yeah.
because that shit is built into my DNA. But
Yeah.
something that I strive for every day, and I always am calling this out to the universe, is there a loving, more supportive way that I can learn this experience
Yeah.
without the struggle, without the hardship, without
Yeah.
the challenges. And what's
Yeah.
really funny when you are asking for loving, supportive experiences to help you grow and you focus on receiving those. Because I mean, I learned what love was by going and having all these toxic relationships.
Yeah, me too.
But I
I was
learned
like, "Oh, yes, this is love." And it's so addicting and oh, look at all the red flags. This looks so fun.
I know, I know. You're like, how, where do you find these guys, Nick? I'm like,
Yeah.
they were standing right next to those other really nice five guys that I did not see because
Yeah.
they didn't match my template of what love looked like. And of course, every guy was better than the last one because you learn to start, well, I deserve more. And this is what respect looks like. But what
Right.
I learned through meeting my soulmate who loves and appreciates and cherishes me is I've learned more from him about what love is by experiencing it than I ever did by not experiencing it. And so I'm
Totally.
always seeking that positive, supportive experience to teach me that same virtue without the struggle story.
Yeah, it's because like, hello, universe, some of these lessons could be simple. They don't have to be so
Yeah.
chaotic and so torturous. Like, we can
Well,
do
it's
this
us that's so friggin' stubborn. I mean,
for
I'll admit
sure.
it. I'm like, I'm the
Me
stubborn
too.
one, and the universe is like, I guess we just gotta shake her.
Yeah. And
She's
that's
not listening.
well, and I've got two specific, I'm going to say I had two specific situations in my life just this year. And one of them has gone on consistently since like February of 24. And it has been excruciating. It's been a big theme. And that's where I'm at. I'm like, okay, I've done all the things, I've done all the stuff, like, fuck off. This can't work anymore. Like, there's got to be a better way. And so I'm still waiting to see the doorways to that better way, but I've been stubborn about it too. Like, it's just sometimes it happens that way.
Yeah, yeah. I know whenever I can work my way out of doing it the long, hard way, I'm always a willing participant to doing it the fun, supportive way. But I mean, that is such a strong pattern that we have society
Yeah.
like really reinforces is like, oh, no pain, no gain. I mean, I was a kid of the 80s and that was our
Yeah.
motto. I was
Yeah.
also raised by two serial entrepreneurs and it was like work hard, play hard, burn out by 50, right? It was just kind of like that's the mentality.
Yeah.
And I think though the more that we bring awareness to those elements, the more we get to create a new model for growth for our kids, which I think is such a pattern breaker. We get to be the pattern breaker
Totally.
in those generations, which is great.
Totally. Because my kids like have had the pattern breaker mom and they're freaking in their early 20s and awesome. I'm like, how the
Yeah.
fuck come that skipped me completely? Whatever. Like I had to be awesome in my 40s, but
You're
whatever.
like, you're
No grudge.
welcome.
Yeah, no grudges at all. Whatever. I'm so pissed about it.
I know
But
I work
also
with a lot of parents and I'm like, I know this is hard, but think of the lesson and the model that you're creating for your beautiful kids. And they're like,
totally.
all right, I'm in it to win it.
Yeah, totally. And it's not that I don't have gratitude, but because I'm human, I can have the polarity of the gratitude and the fuck off, this isn't fair at the same time. So I'm okay with it.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, we are a casserole of emotion. And
Yeah.
I think to think that, we think, oh, I'm either happy or I'm sad. It's like, no, you're a casserole.
Yeah.
There's all stuff
You get
mixed.
the whole spectrum. You get it
Exactly.
all.
You are a rainbow of color, my dear.
Yes, exactly. Yep, I would agree with that.
It's really about the ones that we allow to take real estate up that win out, right? It's okay for you to be happy for someone and still feel that twinge of, oh, I wish it was me. But it's like we can recognize that sense of unworthiness and then recognize, hey, okay, this is where I get to grow. This is where I
Yeah,
get to expand on my own recognition that I'm worthy of also having that beautiful thing.
yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. And sometimes those little moments of jealousy really are just inspiration anyway. It's just like, oh, cool. I feel this little, like you said, this little tinge of, jealousy or whatever, but it's really inspiration because I'm not stewing on the jealousy. I'm like, cool, this is actually pretty awesome that, we get to do this different.
Yes, and then they get to live differently too through our example. And I mean, I catch myself too where I'm like, and my kid will call me out and she's like, "Oh, mama, that's not, the right way." And I'm like, "Ooh, totally nailed it," right? Because she's seen a different model. So she's seen me at my best, she's seen me at my worst. And when I'm at my worst, she'll be like, "Hey, is that how you want to respond to that situation?" And I'm like, "Not really. Thanks for keeping me honest."
Yeah.
So
No,
I
yeah.
always
I
yeah,
feel
our
like my
kids are
kids,
such powerful teachers. Yeah.
they are. I feel like my kids called me out this weekend too. So, and like all of them did in their own way. And I
Yeah.
was like, thanks. I needed that. So it's like that mothering that I put into them still is paying off to me too
Oh,
because
100%.
because of the mirror effect. Like it's yeah, I mean it's like still helping guide me as well. So I'm like, this is awesome. It's
Yeah.
teamwork. Absolute
It is.
teamwork.
Well, and I think that's what the beauty of our relationships, right? Is we all get to learn and grow from each other at
Hmm.
different times, at different seasons, at different ways. And each and every one of us has something to share with the other.
Yeah.
And it's just about discovering what that is.
Yeah, definitely. So where are you going next? Like do you have things that you can share about like what you have planned next? Like what do you have expansions in mind? Like,
I do. Actually, I'm so glad that you asked. I'm launching your Soul Led Business podcast on October 20th. So it's
what?
coming up
Yay!
very soon. And so this podcast is all about having conversations with leaders from all different industries
Hmm.
about how they show up authentically in their unique light, in their zone of genius to create purpose and prosperity, how they utilize their intuition and their core values to really lead
Yeah.
how they show up in business. Because for me, I feel when people show up authentically in their best energy and they show up because work's like 40-50% of your life.
Yeah.
And when you can really show up to those spaces, then we're inviting everyone in our office and all of our suppliers and clients to really, it gives other people permission to do it too. And I think that is such
Hmm.
a beautiful catalyst for change because then you'll have the people that are open and um, seeking growth and expansion. And then you'll have people who have settled into what is. And they're like, well, it's fine. But I find when we show up as the best version of ourselves, we have the opportunity to inspire those who don't expect anything to be better or different. And we get to lead by example. And I think that is such a powerful position to be in. And so one of the things that I love to do as an executive consultant and in my power work with my coaching clients is helping them to show up and be better leaders. So whether they're leading, a 7, 8 figure business or whether they're leading their family. And so you get to really show up authentically and really own that presence in a way that feels good and inspires not just you, but other people around you.
Yes, I'm so
Because you're
excited
giving
for
them a
you.
permission slip to be your best self too. See how
Yeah.
good it feels?
Yeah. No, I'm so excited that you're doing this.
Yeah.
And also let me know when your podcast is out so I can be a supporter.
Oh, yes, I'll send you the link for that. We are doing a VIP launch with lots of goodies. So You're more than welcome to join us. We were doing lots of giveaways and fun things.
Yeah, definitely let me know. I will be a supporter of that for sure.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, is there something else that you wanted to talk about or touch on? I feel like I've already gone through my question list, so the floor is still yours, but
Oh,
is
well,
there
thank you.
anything, yeah, is
Let
there
me
anything
see.
that you want to, yeah,
Yeah, let me see. I love to leave every audience with a really simple takeaway. And something that I learned a long time ago, and I feel like this applies to everybody. So it doesn't matter how far along the growth curve you are, or you're brand new, you're just kind of starting out. There are three simple questions that you can always ask yourself to change your reality.
okay,
And I would always start these three questions with taking a deep breath first, because for me, grounded presence
yep,
is really the path forward to a positive solution. If you're all scattered trying to fix stuff, like you're going to break it, just leave it alone, take a breath, start over. So the three questions are, how do I feel? Which is
okay,
that check-in. And so you spoke to that. For me, that's so important. How do I feel? And sometimes it's going to be I feel shitty and good and mediocre and all at the same time. Okay.
hmm,
How do I want to feel? And for me, something that I teach and that I live by is getting crystal clear on what your emotional priorities are. So for me, my core values are love, strength, prosperity, connection, and freedom. And I have them on a little post-it note, and I have them upstairs too in my mirror, constantly reminding me that this is what I'm striving for, and this is what I'm focusing right now in this season of my life. And so now I know where I am and where I want to be,
hmm,
which is like two of the big things. So then the third question is, what needs to change so I can feel that way? So if I'm noticing that I'm all stressed out about A, B, or C,
yeah,
and it doesn't match with my feeling free, or because freedom is one of my emotional priorities, then I'm like, all right, maybe I need to reevaluate my expectations on myself in this now moment, and I need to shuffle things around.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
maybe I just need to stop stressing out about the five things that are coming up, because I'm going to move through them. I can do it peacefully or I can do it joyfully. I
yeah,
get to decide. Because sometimes we're doing, it doesn't mean we're doing less, but it's just how we're showing up to what we're doing.
yeah,
One of the examples that I love to give, because this was actually one of the teachings that came through when I was doing this a number of years ago, when that teaching came in, was laundry. And it's, I don't know what it is, if it's like it takes you like 1 day to wash and like 14 days to put away. Like, I don't know if everyone else has a struggle with laundry. It's not that I don't appreciate clean clothes, is I don't know what it is. It was just like just like one of those monogamous things that I wasn't getting a lot of enjoyment from. And I, at the time, I had slightly different emotional priorities. And I think it was like love, self-respect, a couple others, and then fun. And when I looked at laundry, they actually filled all of my other emotional priorities, because when I put on a clean shirt, I feel really good. It's self-respect, it's self-love, it's self-appreciation. But the only emotional priority that wasn't being met when I really looked at it was fun. And I
right,
thought, okay, so what can I change to make this more fun? And so it, through having that clarity on what I how I want to feel, it helped me to find the exact piece that was missing. And I was like, all right, well, if I want to make laundry more fun, I'm going to bring down my little portable speaker. I'm going to put on my favorite playlist, and I'm going to dance my way through this laundry. And what I noticed is that then, just by adding that element of fun, is like I didn't dread laundry anymore. Like, the washing part was always easy, but it was like the folding and putting it away.
yeah,
And so I brought that music along with me, and I made it a fun experience. And I showed up with the expectation that I'm making this fun and this is
yeah,
going to be enjoyable for me. Because as soon as I realized that I was actually soothing and satisfying so many more of my core goals, I actually changed my perception and relationship with laundry right in that moment. And then all I had to do was add the cherry on top and make it more fun, because I was like, this is me loving myself. This is me
yeah,
respecting myself. This is me appreciating myself in the form of laundry.
yeah, yeah. That's pretty awesome too. But I also love that there's an intuitive part of that where you're like, hey, wait a minute, something's
Yeah.
off, and
Hmm.
I've really got to dig into that.
Yeah. And that's what I've learned from our inner wisdom, is just desperate to tell us exactly what we need to move us forward. We just need to be quiet enough and just ask the question and be open to whatever the answer is. And
Yeah.
so I find by taking a breath and asking those three questions, I'm like, all right, where am I at? Where do I want to be? What do I need to do in order to get there? It's like, all
Yeah.
right, Anik, you just need to chill out. I was like, okay, I can do that.
You're like, okay, I can maybe sit still for a minute.
Yeah, I'll just take
Yeah.
a few more breaths here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are great. Those are great questions, to get you in the mindset of reflection and
Mhm.
sit with that for a minute so you can be open to
Mhm.
the intuitive suggestions that come through. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is there any other final words that you would like to share before we leave our audience for today?
I
Or
would say I would invite everybody listening to know that intuition is something that we all carry within us. And if you're looking around and thinking, oh, that person is so intuitive and I'm not, the only difference is that person has honed in that skill.
yeah,
But that capacity is within each and every one of us. And intuitive development is a skill that each and every one of us can develop by asking simple questions like, how do I feel and how do I want to feel?
yeah.
It's really that simple. And when you tune into that higher wisdom, instead of seeing roadblocks, you're going to start seeing solutions. And so I would highly suggest that if you haven't done anything to develop your intuition, that you just be open and see what shows up for you as a tool or a pathway in order for you to do that. Because it's such a powerful skill for each and every one of us to have in order to make powerful decisions in our lives.
Yeah, and that's such a profound piece of advice because in my own experience, I refused my psychic medium nature
Mm,
for 38 years. I refused it. And it took the biggest traumatic tower moments over and over for 38 years to get me to finally lean into it. And then when I did, my whole world was like, oh, I should have done this ages ago. But like it didn't, it wasn't like easy overnight, but much different. And so I would venture to say that I 100% agree with that piece of it where, the moment you just embrace and turn into your authentic nature, because like, Lord forbid, I tried to give it back. That did not work. It did not work at all.
it's
But
almost
yeah,
like a Pandora's box. Once you open your
yeah,
intuition, you can't really put it back away because like now you know what
yeah.
you didn't know. You can't unknow it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that was the problem is I was already born turned on. Like I was already
Mhm.
born with that switch full blown on. And I was like, I think I was about 4 or 5 when I realized, oh, nobody can see or hear the things that I am doing. Like I was very little. And, I noticed that it scared people that I was around. And so I shut it down and all the
Mhm.
things and tried to hide it and tried to whatever, run from it as much as I could. But it took a lot for me to finally step into it. But once you are like, oh, this was supposed to be my mission all along,
Yeah.
and then it really does open doorways for you that you never thought possible.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that you share that because I think that's one of the biggest compromises that we make is everyone's got some magic inside of them and magic is different,
yeah,
and what you shared is exactly how we dim our light, we
hmm,
smother our magic no matter what that looks like.
yeah.
And if we just gave ourselves that, we had the courage to really tune into what our unique gifts are and show up and live them fully, I mean, life would be so much easier for each and every one of us. Can you imagine a world where each and every one of us show up as our best selves?
Not really, but I would
Like,
like to.
I
Yeah,
know,
like
but
that's so mind blowing that I'm like, no, I
I
can't, but I'd
know,
like
like
to.
if each and every one of us is all we focused on was just showing up as our best selves, like
Yeah,
what a beautiful world we would leave our children. What an incredible world that would be that we get to live on. And so that's why for me, I'm so focused on that inner work is because for me, people showing up as better versions of them is such a powerful wave of change that it's so worth doing.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
I also benefit from it, right? So
yeah.
I'm a strong believer it's always got to be a win-win-win so that the energy's balanced. And
Hmm.
so it's like I don't work through something with a client without getting something out of it. I'm like, "Oh, I bet you there's something in my life where I there's room for me to grow." Especially
Always.
if I see a number of clients and then like three of them have a similar issue, I'm like, all right, taking notes.
Yeah, like the
Where in my life
theme.
can I lean into that more?
Yeah, like the theme
Uh,
just keeps repeating, and you're
I'm
like,
like,
oh,
I'm giving this
okay.
advice an awful lot this week. I
Yeah.
should really look at it. So I'll actually write that down and
Yep.
I'll leave myself a post-it note because I'm like, okay, Anik, this is what you're learning this week.
Yeah.
Lead by example.
No, but that's that mirror effect too, where you're like, okay, yeah, let me see what the universe is trying to
Mhm.
throw back at me so I can pay attention as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and I think that's too about the growth, right? They might be going through something that I've already healed and grown through, but especially when there's a theme that shows up, I'm like, all right, I feel like this is telling me I'm ready to evolve
Yeah.
beyond where I'm at, and that means deepening those lessons even more,
Yeah.
right? Because our journey is circular in nature,
I
right?
actually have a situation that has kind of come up over the weekend, over the last couple weeks, I guess. It's the same one I was talking about with my kids, where I'm like, I feel like I've already mastered this. Why am I here again? Like, and so sometimes we need those refreshers to practice what we preach so we can keep expanding too. And
Hmm.
even though our higher self knows that, my human's like, this is stupid. Why do I have to do this again?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, my human still throws a fit.
Yeah, I know. I've been there where I'm like, damn it, like, didn't we already do this? But it's like
Yeah,
you've
like,
reached the edge of your evolution on that theme. And now I look at it, I'm like, I'm graduating. Like
yeah,
it's coming around again because I'm ready to expand more in ways that I can't even yet imagine because I think I know it all at this point. And obviously I don't, right?
right.
So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, where can I embody this even more?
Where can we stretch?
Yeah, exactly. And that stretch always creates more beautiful things in my life. Better, like, there's no end to how much joy we can have. There's no end
Yeah.
to how much love we can experience. And so for me, when those lessons come around, I was like, ooh, I'm signing up for more love. I'm signing up for more joy. I'm signing up for more prosperity. Like, I can't wait to see where that leads. And yes, I got to go through the hard stuff or maybe a difficult conversation, or I got to revisit an old pattern. I got to own some stuff that I haven't been looking at before.
Yeah.
But it's always better on the other side.
Totally.
And it always, what I notice is it gets easier too, because you're like, okay, I'm just doing some more inner work. And you're like, all right, I'm just gonna
Well, and
cry
that's the
some
thing.
or
Like
feel
every
some
time,
or
yeah, every time you
yeah,
have that lesson come up, like you move through it faster, you move through it easier, and you're like, okay, cool, whatever.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
done and bouncing out.
Exactly. And I think your subconscious and that part of you that resists change is like, okay, I've done this a number of times and you've created enough evidence that
Yeah.
you're like, it always turns out better and it's
Yeah.
never as bad as I think. And the
Yes.
more you do it, you just become, it's like stretching an elastic. You just become more stretchy
Yeah.
and you're like,
It's
all
like
right, here we
it,
go.
you get to a place where it's second nature and yeah, definitely so much easier. So
Mhm.
much more of a graceful shift.
Yes, for sure. It does get better, people. It does get better.
It does. It does. And actually, I needed these reminders today, big time.
Oh, I'm so happy. So
100%. Like,
happy.
I'm like, yep, needed to hear this shit all day long. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, if I say it again one more time this week, I'll definitely be writing it down. I'll be
You're
like,
going to
it's
be like, I'm tuning in too.
exactly. That's usually like the universe's message to me is if I hear myself say it within a week twice, I was like, take note. And then the third time is like, okay, this is when the universe is going to start shaking me, so I'm going to proactively start paying attention.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, where I'm going to put this in the notes anyway, the show notes, but where can people find you the easiest?
The easiest is masteringascension.com. It's got
Okay.
all of my stuff on there, and the podcast will already be there as well as any of the products or services that I offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Perfect.
all my social links are on there too, so that's one way
Makes
to get to all parts of me.
makes it easy. Well, I think that you have been an absolute delight, and I love that you have such a deep embodiment of your truth and your wisdom, and I think that that really it comes through. It's
Thank
you're
you.
super grounded. I love your energy. Actually, you're so grounded, and I think that that is obviously showing up in your world everywhere because you're doing the work. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
want to thank you for having these conversations, because I don't think enough people recognize that owning their essence is at the core of creating everything that they want to. So I love that you're having these conversations and really creating a powerful catalyst for people to own their gifts, to own their magic, and to show up in their most beautiful light. Because for me, that is a recipe for a beautiful world.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I'm hoping to keep doing this, so we'll
Yes.
see. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye right here to everybody. Thank you guys for joining, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining Own Your Essence. I am beyond grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey toward healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with me privately, send an email. I'd love to hear from you.